Welcome to Catholic Faith Forum, your number one Catholic show where we discuss matters bordering on faith, morals, and popular culture. My name is Chima, and today we'll be discussing a very wonderful topic, fatherhood. I have with me two fathers from two different generations who will be sharing their perspectives on fatherhood, its joys, its challenges, and everything concerning it. But when we come back from this short break, we'll be meeting them and going straight into the discussion. Stay with us. Welcome back to Catholic Faith Forum. My name is Chima, and like I said earlier, we're talking about fatherhood. You know, the past week we celebrated Father's Day, and it is imperative that we discuss about this beautiful journey in a man's life. I have two guests with me, two fathers from two different generations. First is Dr. Emmanuel Imafidon. He's a parishioner of the Catholic Church of the Transfiguration, VGC Lekki, and he is also a member of the teaching ministry of the Catholic Charismatic Renewal of Nigeria. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you.
All right. I also have with me Barrister Nelson Okedinachi. He is a member of the St. Thomas More Catholic Chaplaincy in the University of Lagos. You're welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank
we
you.
hope to have a good discussion, and I hope to learn some things for when I'm going to become a father too.
Very soon.
All right, sir. So let's start. Tell us about your fatherhood journey, sir. The highs, the lows, the everything, sir. As much as you can. Let's start with you, Dr. Emmanuel.
Well, the journey started a long time ago. I have 6 children, and they range between 19 and 32. So it's been a long journey, but I would say that the journey indeed has brought a lot of joy and deepened my faith in God. But it has its own challenges at different phases of the growth of the children. The challenges I encountered in the first 5 years of their lives are different from the ones I'm now encountering when they are telling me that they are old enough to do their own thing. So it's been a great journey of discovery, of joy, of challenges that still make you get closer to God every day. So that's the way I will characterize it for now.
All right, sir. Barrister Nelson, let's hear you.
Well, it's been a mixed feeling, just to support what Doctor has said. My journey so far is still a little below 10 years. My first daughter is 6. She was 6 a couple of days ago.
Oh, happy birthday to her.
Yeah, thank you. It's interesting because, growing up as a young man, all you think about is yourself. And perhaps your father. Sometimes you have confrontation with parents, but that's just by the way. But what you think about is just yourself. Now, all of a sudden, you get to a situation where this thing hits you. You know, with the exuberance you have to be back home as early as you can because you're thinking about somebody else. Not just somebody, you have a wife, you have kids. You're not just husband to your wife, you're almost taking a role of a father at the same time because you think about your wife, you think about the children. So it's a mixed feeling, but so far it's been interesting. Seeing your, how do I say it? Your creation, so to say. Almost a replica of you, and you begin to imagine, what was I when I was this age? So it brings up a lot of imagination and also helps you to appreciate the power of God. What God has done in your life. So it's still a learning process, and I hope I will learn more as the life takes us along.
Yeah, I like that it's still a learning process.
Yeah, a lot
of people feel that once you've gotten there, you've gotten there.
I know. Never.
All right, so can you tell us about your most interesting experience so far?
Well, I don't know. It's a lot of things. But I think I have 3 kids. I think the most important experience for me is except for the second one, I wasn't around. But for the first and the last one, I was practically there when they were giving birth to. Practically there. In fact, sometimes I helped to clean the blood and hold the baby. So that's the most interesting. That's the most interesting part of it. Aside from that, it's basically them growing up, seeing changes in their behavior, in the way they talk, the kind of questions they ask. That's the day-to-day occurrence.
You've seen some things that you wonder, was I like this when I was...
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
All right, sir. Do you have any to share with us?
Well, the one that struck me the most was the feeling I had just examining the little baby as he came out, well, when they brought her home. And all that I thought about and that has still remained with me now, like 2 decades plus after, is that this baby was incubating in the womb and has come out, and everything that a human being has was complete in the baby. Eyelash, small fingernails. You know, if I mention it to another person, it may not strike, but that is the imagery that remains with me, that I just say, God, you are great. To really just couple this person together, and it was there inside the womb, totally dependent on fluids and all of that inside the mother, but suddenly come out from those fluids and is breathing air, and you check everything is complete there. So it leaves a great feeling for you.
I can't say I relate, but hopefully I'll relate.
You will get there, don't worry.
All right, so has fatherhood ever made you do anything out of character?
I won't say out of character, but it just makes you go. There is no limit to what you can do in line with that duty of fatherhood. That is the way I would characterize it. Not out, I won't say out of character. No, but there's almost no limit, because you have a complete responsibility over this child, and therefore there will be no excuses around what you could not do in order to get this child to be what he or she should be. And therefore, in that spectrum of things you need to do, there's almost no limit. That's the way I would say it. So I won't say anything you did out of character. I mean, if you were hungry, you decided to forgo food so that the child will eat, I don't know whether you will say it's out of character. You just do it anyway. It's in line of duty. So that's the way I would say it.
So is your experience different from his, or have you done anything out of character too?
No. In fact, when you say out of character, it presupposes that there's an acting going on. I mean, it's inherent. When the child is involved, there is no priority. That is the only priority. It's inherent. It comes with that natural responsibility, as Doctor has said, of being a father. And there's nothing can contend with it. Even while you try to balance it with other things, you just find find out that you just can't do it.
Being a father comes
naturally.
So you are the younger father here by Sir Nelson. So tell us, raising a child in this day and age. So tell us about the whole thing. How has it been so far for you?
Well, from the little I can say so far, I'm sure Doctor will have a much more elaborate answer to the question.
I don't know.
But let's not sugarcoat it. It's very, very difficult. It's a big, humongous problem. This time and age, children are magnetic. Their brains are magnetic. In fact, I hear my daughter sing some songs. I'm like, where did this guy hear this? Because there are some songs you will never hear me play in my house. But they just come from school and they just muster one or two words from the songs. I'm like, from where? So it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge. But what I've done, what I tried to do, and this is what worked for me. I grew up in Mary of Christians Catholic Church, Akure, Don Bosco. Now, what worked for me, what my parents did, was to always, because nature abhors vacuum, what my parents did was to always find a way to keep us busy with one activity in the church or the other. Once you are idle, something else takes place. So what I do, as young as they are, take them to church, join their children choir, just find something that ignites the interest to always go to church and do something. Because in the absence of that, something will take place. Something will occupy that space, I can assure you. So that's the method I've adopted. Whether it works or not, I hope it works, and I back it up with prayer. But in this time and era, where the world has become such a small village, a global village, it's very, very difficult. Because as a parent, you can do everything you want to do, peer pressure. True. Things they see online, social media. I mean, my daughter operates phone now, she's 6. By just looking at your phone, you putting your password, next time she will put it.
She'll put it.
I was never that smart. So it's a big problem. It really is a big problem. But all you can do as a parent is do your best and pray that God makes your best work for the kids.
All right, so doctor, what about from your own time? How different is it now, seeing how children are raised now and from how you raised yours back in those days?
So I'm not very connected with how they are raised now, but I'm just hearing it now from him that 6 years old.
He's pressing.
Yes. Well, by the time I was raising mine, the digital age was already setting in, but not as explosive as it is now. So they didn't have so much distraction then. We could play we brought them up with Christian videos and all of that, what do you call it? I can't remember them now. Donut Man and all those ones. And it could just really catch their attention. But they were not doing with their hands. They were only just watching. But now they have all kinds of gadgets that they have to do with, and you have to contend for their attention these days. In my own time, we had more access to the attention of the children. They didn't have so much distraction like this.
They are torn between the parents
and so many other things. It's a big struggle. So, was it easier then? Maybe. But it was still tough because I was trying to use the way my own dad brought us up to bring them up, and it didn't work. Yes, but even now it will even be worse. Yes.
Because of the whole explosiveness of everything.
Yes.
Okay, so are there any set rules to fatherhood? Like, okay, if I want to become a father, is there a rule book I should follow or something like that?
For me, I think what hangs it all together is involvement. That's the way I would just cut one paintbrush to paint everything. Involvement. Somebody may say, okay, what do you mean by that? To be involved, you need to be engaged. Engage means interact. Interact with the children. And I say this with benefit of hindsight because I failed in some of them. So be involved. Engage. Be available. Available means presence. And accessible. You may be present but not accessible. You may be inside your bedroom.
Fatherhood is responsibility. You are being put in charge of not just your own family, but every other person around you. Sometimes we just see fatherhood as, okay, someone who has a child. You might not necessarily have your own child, but there is this thing that comes with every man. Your ability to take care of people, for me, is fatherhood, and it comes with responsibility. Being responsible to yourself, your family, and your environment.
Father is to take care of the household, pays the rent, the school fees, but that does not subtract the mother to help out in those duties.
Okay, for me, fatherhood is a responsibility, a call to be responsible to the need of the immediate family, to be responsible to the need of the extended family, and by extended family, not just those you're related with by blood, but also everyone around you that you consider as friends or neighbors. Call to service generally. That's basically what fatherhood means to me as a Christian.
It means a lot. He's the head of the family. He do help in in domestic things too. He helps us to carry out the things we are doing at home. In fact, he does a lot.
So imagine that you come back from work and your children are more interested in something else than daddy is back. But just to also support what Doctor said, you have to be able to create a format where the child growing up can begin to learn what it means to be responsible. Because not every time you are going to be with that child. So when you train that child to get to a point where to weigh odds of actions they want to take, Is this good? Is this bad? Is this responsible or not? Because your parents will always be with you. And that is a question of the foundation of the training you give them. So it's very difficult, but it's better to try than not to try at all.
All right, so can you give us some practical tips, especially with regards to the Bible's instruction of training your children in the Lord? I know earlier you mentioned that you get them involved in children choirs and other things. So can you give us some practical tips, especially for this time and age where there are a lot of distractions?
Yes, you know, I think that's method is still relevant till today. Now, I can use myself as a practical example. While I was growing up, you know, we always go to church to play from 4 o'clock to 6. Then we get back home, do assignments. As I grew a little older, I joined the altar boys. When I got to secondary school, I joined the dance troupe at Ilogo. You will not believe it. I danced at Ilogo for almost 6 years.
Wow.
I was in boarding house. Every time we came back home, we would go back to church and get involved in those activities. Then the church also had what it called holiday camp. When children, when they come back from school, you know, they come to church to get involved, academics, movies, theater, acting, and all that. You know, so I still believe that's relevant even in this present time. Because like I said, there are a lot of things competing with the mind of a young child. A lot of things. And the mind these days are so fertile and very, very welcoming. Whatever you feed them, they will take. So if you don't feed them with the positive,
They will take the negative.
they learn very fast. Children these days learn very fast. Whether good or bad, they learn very fast. So you have to create a situation where they put themselves in that situation. So at every point in time, they are busy with the positive. Some of them pick up early, some pick up late. I have some of my friends who were friends who were in the same, raised the same way. Some picked up late, some picked early. But it's good to always be in that positive situation so that, you know, at the end of the day, when you find yourself, when the chips are down, those trainings, you know, get you across the hurdle.
And can help them to stay afloat when you are not available.
Obviously.
All right. So, doctor, is fatherhood strictly about raising children, or is there another side to fatherhood that we don't know?
Well, it's primarily around raising children, but beyond that, the only extension to it that I may tie to raising children is about concern for society and community. But that only makes sense when you have done the primary being raising them well for the sake of the wider society and community. So I think principally it's about raising the children and being their father all through their lives. So that when I say raise children, it's not as if raising just young 6-year-old, 7-year-old. Even at 32 now, I'm still a father. Even when they get married, I'm still a father. But beyond all that, primary concern for the children, raising them, is the impact on community and society.
So that means that a father cannot actually say, my job here is done, as concerning his children.
Father is a sing song between me and my wife almost every day. You know, when we hear one thing about one child and we need to make a phone call in the night to get into some discussion, just say, this parenthood is never going to end, really. I mean,
wow.
We are in the middle of a novena now because of one of them, and it's forever, really.
Wow. You're already laughing.
Yeah.
So no end to it.
Yeah.
I'm guessing that you are preparing for the long journey ahead.
Oh, it was a good one. It's a good journey. Fatherhood is not like a political office where you have a term of office.
Tenure.
No. It's, in fact, there's no other side to it. Fatherhood primarily is all the things that doctor has said, apart from raising the child, can also be subsumed into the definition of fatherhood. Because you are raising your child, you are raising the child to care for the society, how to treat other people, not just about sending the child to school, paying school fees, feeding the child, clothing the child. No, there are other secondary responsibilities that are attached to it. How to behave in the society, how to treat people, how to respect people. If you look, one of the biggest problems we have now is that our youth, majority of them are badly behaved.
True.
Badly behaved. And these are the people who grow tomorrow to occupy different offices. You see the way some of our politicians behave. You see some things on social media, you're wondering, somebody raised this guy. They are badly behaved, and this goes to how they were raised. It's foundational. Once you miss it, the person is going to grow like that until he gets to his old age. So it's not just about raising the child, so to say, but it encompasses a whole lot of things, which doctors has highlighted.
All right, so thank you so much. Unfortunately, we have come to the end of the show. I would really have loved to continue this conversation, but that's all we can take for now. All right, we'll get back to Doctor and Barrister, but we have to go to the Know Your Faith team for today's episode. Enjoy.
As Catholics, we are encouraged to pray the Rosary every day, honoring Mary by praying through her. Some Catholics place their rosaries in their rear view mirrors, in their living rooms, their doorsteps, and so many other places. But do we actually know the power of the Rosary? Welcome to Know Your Faith series. I am Collins, and today we'll be discussing the power of the Rosary. The Catechism of the Catholic Church in paragraph 971 describes the Rosary as the epitome of the entire Gospel. And this is simply because all the mysteries of the Rosary are centered around the life of Christ. Through Saint Dominic and Blessed Alain de Rouppé, our Blessed Mother Mary made 15 promises to people who pray their Rosary every day. And today on the show, we'll be sharing about 5 of these promises. The first is that those who faithfully pray their Rosary shall receive signal graces. A second says that the promise of special protection and great graces shall be given to those who recite their rosaries daily. Now, this is simple. It's just to tell you that you are assured of daily protections from the recitations of your rosary. The third promise says that the rosary shall be a powerful armor against hell, destroy vice, and decrease sin and heresies. Another of the promise says that I shall deliver from purgatory those who have been devout to the rosary. On another episode of KYF, we talked about the essence of praying for the dead. And we can see that the rosary is a very, very powerful tool in order to pray for those souls who are in purgatory. The fifth promise, and which is one that I really, really enjoy, says that I have obtained from the Divine Son that all the advocates of the Rosary shall have intercessors, the entire celestial court, throughout their life and at the hour of death. When we recite the Rosary, we say, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed are you amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of your womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners and at the hour of our death. Amen. So this basically tells us that the Rosary gives us an assurance of grace both now and at the hour of our death. Pope Pius IX says, give me an army praying the Rosary, and I will conquer the world. What else does the world need but peace? So that's it for today, guys. Thank you for joining us, and I encourage you to constantly pray your Rosary every day. The Rosary is just about 15 minutes. You can make out time every day to say your Rosary. Thank you for joining us. Till we meet again, be bold and be Catholic.
Thank you for sticking with us. That was the Know Your Faith. I hope you've been educated on your faith today. All right, so thank you so much, Barrister Nelson. Thank you so much, Dr. Emmanuel, for staying with us, for talking about fatherhood is joy. I'm so pumped right now. I'm going to watch this episode over and over again when it's my own turn, and I'll draw from your experiences. All right, so do you have any other words to say to fathers, new fathers, and fathers who may have forgotten or who don't really know what their roles are? Let's start with you, Doctor.
If they are Christians, I would just say, look at our God in heaven and see how he plays his fatherhood role over us, and just imitate that. That is the blueprint. I started by saying, if they are Christians, if you take your faith serious, then this vocation that God has given to you as a father, if you're at a loss on where it starts and where it ends, look up.
Look to God. All right, so Barrister, do you have anything to say?
Yeah, in summary, without God, we can do nothing. Forget all we have said. about how to raise a child and all the things we have said, you could still do all this, and the
miss
child
it.
will turn out to be the worst.
In another way.
Do you understand? So you need to pack all this with prayers. Like doctor said, they're in the middle of a novena because of a child. I mean, if this was another climb, once the child is 17 and 18, he moves out of the house, that's it. But in our climb, it's a different scenario altogether. So primarily, it's doing what you know how to do best as a father, take the vocation serious, and pray that God, who gave you that child, gives you the grace to do what is right.
All right, thank you so much. You heard from the experiences of two fathers from two generations, and I hope you've been educated as well on why fatherhood is important. It's one of the most important phases of a man's life, and you should make sure that you always stay close to God in the journey of fatherhood. All right, if you have any other suggestions, any comments, or any opinions on this issue, you can always hit us up on our social media platforms at CFF on TV across board. Make sure you also subscribe to our YouTube channel where this episode will be put up, and you can also watch past episodes of the show. Until we come your way next time with another beautiful episode of CFF on TV, keep being saints in jeans and shirts.